Alright, this is an unboxing video for the Colonial Marines starter for Aliens Predator. This was a trading card game that came out in 1997, and you could get one of three different factions at the time. You could get Aliens, Predators, or Marines. And you can see it says Aliens Predator on the box, not Aliens versus Predator. When I was at my friendly local game store when I was maybe 12, we were always corrected if we said Aliens versus Predator. It was always Aliens Predator or AVP, but never Aliens versus Predator. And so we'll crack this open. I'll kind of show you what's inside. You can see that on the side. I just think this is neat. A lot of starter decks back in the day were like flat here, and this one just had a little slant to it in order to fit the rule books in the back. So it's just something neat. We'll crack this open. I think I managed to split. Yep. So I managed to get that into that little frame. But we'll take off the plastic. I picked these up because I was feeling nostalgic after watching Alien Romulus. And I'm going to be using the locations to start making zones for the Alien RPG, which is fantastic. I'll cover that later. But you can see inside here, we'll open this up. You can see the little cardboard tube that had a D6. That was for combat. You'd roll it to try and hit your opponents. You've got the rule book, pretty standard for the time. Colonial Briefing, which was a quick start rule set if you wanted to just immediately get into the game. So it would cover what each of the cards were, and then it kind of unfolds out into this. Wow, I should have zoomed that out a lot more. We can see just a quick, some quick start rules. And then, now let's see if I can get this back together. There we go. Then you also have Marine tokens. You have movement tokens up here, the rifles. You have combat pool tokens, wound tokens, and I didn't see it as much when I was playing as with Aliens or Predators, but I think a scout could potentially get like a camouflage suit, or there was one card I think that gave hidden movement. But so in theory, you could have a presence with a token in a room. Someone could attack it, but it would be one of your hidden tokens, and so your character might not be there. It was a pretty neat mechanic, but I just didn't see it much. I didn't see it happen often on the Marine side. Take out the die. We'll see if it's stuck in there, which it is. There we go. And then we will open up the deck of cards. And like always, it will take me a second to actually get through 25-year-old plastic wrap. All right. And you start with the little intro card for Marines with Hicks, and it shows just some quick tips for how to play Marines. Marines were very focused on equipment. They didn't start with anything in the intro scenario. So you'd have a barracks and a weapons locker and 4 Marines with absolutely nothing on them. The assumption was that they had just basically woken up from cryo sleep or whatever and were starting to gear up. So your first turn was almost always rolling into the weapons locker and hoping you got the garrison packs, and then trying to get to the armory to get military arms. And so the tip was equip your Colonial Marines right away, work together, arm and protect the civilians, limit alien growth, and stay out of the hive. And then a lot of these were just stock cards. I think it was like 50 of the cards were the same in every deck. So Overwatch was pretty consistently played to let you shoot during the movement phase. And you can just see you have a lot of, I forget if they were effects or something else, but just a lot of modifier cards, so you could get +1 to hit, which Adrenaline Rush. Maybe pulling it out of the light will make it a little... Come on, get in focus. All right, well, you get the idea. And you can find these supporting characters. The goal of the Marines was either to kill everybody else, so wipe out the Predator, wipe out the aliens, wipe out whoever else you're playing against, or to rescue a certain number of supporting characters and get them out of the station. Marines were a lot more gear-centric than most of the other ones. Like, Predators could get items, but it was one Predator looking for the specific items they were preparing for, whereas you were trying to equip an entire group of your NPCs, so you could have shotguns, you could have garrison packs. Your starting location had a weapons locker, so you could find weaponry, but if you wanted the advanced stuff like pulse rifles, smart guns, you needed to find the armory, which I don't think was one of the starter cards in this deck. You can see a lot of locations, which I'm going to set aside for later use because I'm going to use that for the Aliens RPG, just as zones. And then you have your actual Marines. You would start with 4. You could have anyone on your team, so you could potentially have, Hicks and Ripley and a series, just whoever you really wanted. I think Bishop saw a lot of play because he was an artificial person who he was like a 4 power and 5 toughness, or whatever the bottom number was. I know it was basically their health and their resistance, but I forget what it was called. And then you would have 10 random cards that could be for any faction. So this one has Honored Elder and Parker. You could use Parker if you wanted. Honored Elder is a Predator, so you wouldn't be able to use him with your Marine deck. Weirdly, I also got Parker in, I want to say, the Alien starter I just opened. But you can see that these are... Oh, here we go. So this was the card I mentioned. Someday I'll be able to actually figure out how to use my camera. There we go, Recon. So a scout could use this to start using hidden movement with 2 markers. So the icon that I showed you about with the blanks on the other side. So we'd have 1 regular movement token and 2 with blanks on the other. So you could move across the map and hope they didn't find the actual scout. Demolition charge. And self-destruct, which we didn't see a lot of use for. We didn't see this card used a lot when I was playing because it was kind of just rude to the other players. Like, we would end up having pretty large games, sometimes like 6 to 8 people, and if you did this, or if you recalibrated ground level in Resurrection, or I want to say it's like you could damage the heat exchanger, but it would wipe the entire board and just everyone would lose. So it was a viable strategy if you were ever playing a competitive game, I guess. But this was a very casual game for me and my friends, and so this was very much a card that if you played it, you were just getting side-eyed for the rest of the game. But yeah, that is the starter for Colonial Marines.